Hello and welcome again to Immigration News and Views. My name is David Nachman and I'm one of the managing attorneys at the NPZ Law Group. We have offices in Ridgewood, New Jersey. We also have an office in Midtown Manhattan. We also have offices which are affiliated offices in Canada, and we also have affiliated offices in India. Today I just wanted to share with you that yesterday I was at the Garden State Council SHRM meeting, Society of Human Resources meeting down in Atlantic City, and we were actually very well attended. We had a panel discussion with the individual who's responsible for worksite enforcement from the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office, which is part of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. In that panel discussion, we had covered issues like how to fill out the I-9 form, and there were a large number of human resources managers there that had a lot of really great questions for us, which we tried to tackle. Many of them, of course, we had answers for, and some of them, unfortunately, we didn't have answers, but we're going to go back to the powers that be and try to get as much information as we possibly can. What I'd like to do is just cover a couple of the highlights, which are not things that are readily available to the public, so that you have that information available to you. So one of the first questions was whether or not what's going on with the way in which E-Verify and the I-9 process works. So one of the human resources managers who was attending our seminar had asked what happens when E-Verify detects a fraud in the Social Security number. Well, the E-Verify program, as you know, is an electronic program which is voluntary for most employers, unless, of course, they're forced into the E-Verify program by virtue of, one, giving STEM extensions, number two, the state laws, or number three, if they have government contracts. So, of course, if an employer has a government contract, they have to use the E-Verify program if they have a contract under the federal acquisition regulations. So one of the questions that came up is what happens if someone's using a fake Social Security number with regard to the use of E-Verify. So we were able to provide the information that there is what's called a lockdown. Now, the database can lock down fraudulent Social Security numbers. Social Security number, either one, that the database deems fraudulent, or number two, that has been used several times in the E-Verify program. So there is a lockdown and an issuance of a tentative non-confirmation, which then the individual has to go back and try to resolve with the immigration authorities. One of the other issues that came up was the difficulty that human resources managers are having with regard to obtaining the I-94 documents, which sometimes are required on the List A. Because now, Customs and Border Protection, which is also a part of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, is requiring that the I-94 be shown. And of course, many of you are aware, in the old days you used to get that paper I-94. Now you don't get that anymore. Now the individual has to go online, they have to enter the data into the computer and get a printout of their I-94, which has their travel history. So what human resources managers are finding difficult is that individuals are not showing up with that I-94. So you can get that I-94 by going online at http://cbp/I-94. You can print it out and you can use it as a document. However, please remember that if you're going to help the individuals to do that, then you have to fill out the translator section of the I-94 because you're assisting the individual with that. Another interesting update which we brought to everyone's attention is with regard to where you put NA and where you don't put NA on the form. So what we were able to bring to everyone's attention is that if it's an optional section of the I-9, then of course if somebody does not fill it out, or if the employer doesn't fill it out, then if it's mandatory, you have to put NA. If it's an optional part of the form, then you don't have to put NA, you can leave it blank. So that's something that we were able to clarify for everyone. Also, with regard to, we also received a very interesting query from one of the attendees about whether or not you have to put the name of the employee on in Section 2. If you see at the top of Section 2 on the second page, there's a place for the employee's name. If you don't put the employee's name, is that considered a violation? And so what we were able to do is to clarify for the human resources managers who attended that program that in fact if the employer fails to put the name on Section 2, it's not going to be a violation per se, but if the If ICE comes in and does an audit and they're not able to connect that form to the rest of the form, then it will be considered a violation. So basically what they're saying is that if you're able to connect Section 1 and Section 2 clearly, then it works and it won't be a violation. But if they're unable to figure out which parts of the form go together, then it will be considered a violation. So with that, what I'd like to do is thank you for being with me today. If you have any additional questions about the I-9 process or employment verification, please feel free to contact any of the lawyers here at the NPZ Law Group. More to come on the employment verification process and additional information as ICE is now in the process of ironing out what is the difference between technical and non-technical violations. I hope to bring that information to you soon. Thanks very much for joining me. Bye for now.